This video, obviously, this video is going to be about the real Pablo Escobar. This one is going to be about real Pablo Escobar. This is going to be about really the whole thing about Pablo Escobar. I did post this stuff.
Don Pablo Escobar.
I am Tony Comiti, journalist. I encountered and recorded Pablo Escobar. The Medellin.
He did film the Pablo Escobar. He filmed the real Pablo Escobar. But the thing about it is, he didn't see, because he didn't want to see a real Pablo Escobar. People are prone to stories about Pablo Escobar. People are just obsessed with Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar, you can read, see films, you can. He became a legend with numerous people covering real information about him. The information, I'm not disputing the information. Every person that you see on the video, on documentaries, including with the documentary makers, they're all real. I published this December the 21st, 2025. They're all real. None of the people that you see in documentaries are fake, or even that information given out would be fake. I saw briefly documentary or two. I should say I saw maybe 2-3 documentaries, and briefly maybe I saw a few other documentaries. Just I didn't take time to go over. I don't want to take time to go over. I don't want to take time to go over because we need to talk about the real Pablo Escobar. Today, people don't know nothing about the real Pablo Escobar. What people talk about is a government lie, which went along very well with the Pablo Escobar and with his family. People are prone to, they love legends, they love the excitement, they love the, all kinds of stuff. They prefer over the truth, and the government wants it that way. The government paid people who did documentaries on Pablo Escobar because this is how they want. And this is the video I will discuss, and I will disclose you the truth about the real Pablo Escobar. This is the stuff that I publish. This is the stuff that is factual. It couldn't be more factual than what it is. We are talk today about drug cartels a little bit, but we are going to talk about the prohibited. We're going to talk about the stuff that governments, Illuminatis, those who financed literally a Colombian government, don't want you to know any about this stuff. yeah, you can read. I did this stuff in case, whatever, for your convenience. You can come back over and read this, or you can go to the blog and you can read it. But that's it. These are a few, 4 of them I posted in respect to, actually even today I posted something little. I posted something little today also about, also interesting facts about where I was and basically who inherited drug cartels, which connections were used to replace me once I was gone of the picture, once Pablo Escobar was gone of the picture. I was pretty much gone of the picture once the Pablo Escobar was gone of the picture, but not really. American CIA, FBI would continue to deliver me to cartels through Colombian government, literally would make direct contact with them, just as I described right here. In this case, it was in a favor of Donald Trump. They literally negotiated with the drug cartels, with the Colombian, Venezuelan drug cartels, that there will be even some drug cartels, they would allow Americans to bomb them. So they would make like sensation for Donald Trump's sake presidency. Donald Trump moved Jews in the area that became my replacement as early as in 1998. With CIA visiting them, and the rest, the whole history about Pablo Escobar, real Pablo Escobar. I'm going to give you something little about the family of Pablo Escobar and something little about Ochoa family, but not much, because I don't want to get into. It's none of my business to get into. I'm just going to give you the insider on these families to clean my hands, because Vatican, Colombian government, French, inside of the European Union, the prosecutors, British, I don't have to even mention, and Americans who cooked all this shit. United Nations, corrupt criminals from United Nations, they stained me enormously. Video recorded themselves next to me when Pablo Escobar was gone, to screw me, to backstab me, as much as you can only screw, backstab any human being in this world. It's interesting because MK Ultra, they do not recognize one, but it is used in real life for the stuff I'm going to talk to you about today. And on the other hand, it's also used to get subjects subjected to MK Ultra killed. That's basically about placing curse on them, make them look like evil, and etc., etc. I will be talking to you about the popes, about the Vatican scum. It should be definitely interesting video if you're up to learn about the real Pablo Escobar. This guy knows. This guy who filmed Pablo Escobar. Tony
Escobar family out. To meet those people, obviously it's not easy. You don't just call for an appointment. I reached out to Tony Committee, journalist.
Tony
I encountered
Committee.
and recorded.
Yeah, I didn't want to say Tony Conti, but Tony Committee. He saw every one of the documentaries that you see. He saw what I was to Colombia I'm going to put it this way. He saw the real Pablo Escobar. He knew the real Pablo Escobar. I was probably less than 1 year of age. There is a post I need to publish here also. I didn't publish one. I was less than 1 year of age when probably I was about like 8 months of age, when at least 8 months, 6 months maybe of age, when trips to Colombia would start to take place from Novo Mesto City all the way to Colombia. The one who initiated these trips were Russians through the Soviet Union, and that's basically Josip Broz Tito, right? That was Yugoslavia before. And it was merciless. It was horrific. It was merciless. I remember it as it was yesterday, with pushing me clearly over the limits since I was baby, just of maybe I was just 2-3 months old when they started with MK Ultra. Maybe I was less. Especially I remember it because of the Colombia, what I stated. Especially because of Colombia. The physicians, the doctors whom I also remember, Russian, Serbian, Slovenian physicians, doctors, they refer to this type of mistreatment as shape. They refer to it as physical fitness. Physical fitness. My mom was really worried, but next to the so many physicians, doctors, President of Yugoslavia, Josip Broz Tito, politicians, she was a nobody. She worked in a Krka pharmaceutical now, not too far from here, as we moved from the city over here. And she even traveled to Colombia. Her travel to Colombia when I was a baby was a very, very short lasting. But she traveled to Colombia probably when I was already, I estimate, maybe about 3 years of age. Then she was replaced by other females. They had probably from Krka Pharmaceutical, doctors. My mom, I remember that she traveled to Colombia probably about 2-3 occasions. It could have been more than that. The thing is that MK Ultra is such procedure that it's a bestiality. It's a trauma, even for the babies, even for the small children. It's unprecedented trauma. I remember the ladies that would travel with me replaced my mother. They would go with mom. They treated mom like my mom, I had a feeling that she finally went to Colombia when I was maybe even already 3 years old. You may look at me crazy, but when I was 3 years old, I was already like a children that were, it felt like I was based on MK Ultra memories and stuff. It felt like I was 15, 16 years old. In terms of strength of MK Ultra itself, yeah. If you wonder what do I mean exactly by the strength, intensity of the sessions, the intelligence quotient. I was such a boy. I'm going to try to find a picture. When I was 1 year old, I looked like a politician. I looked like a Pablo Escobar. I looked like some president, gangster president, when I was just 1 year of age. I do have a cake candle in front of me, just one candle. And the picture terrified psychiatrists, police, politicians who were involved in this, because I looked as extremely intelligent, strong, smart child, who, however, is only 1 year of age, and got the order. My mom got the order to make the pictures from the Eretto that will look that I piss in my pants. It was the order to my sister, to my mother. It was the order, it was a government order that gave. They have to discredit me. So in the next few following years, I looked rather stupid on the pictures that were taken from me. I appeared with piss on my pants. I should find those pictures too. Police, I understand, in 2017 claimed they hijacked me, claimed they seized those pictures, that they seized some pictures. I don't think if they seized, that's the only one that make those pictures disappear. If it did, that was my mom, nobody else. The government browsed the pictures, photos. There were certain people only that would take pictures, confiscated pictures, and was creating throughout my lifetime, since practically my birth, the picture of their own. Obviously about what became labeled as, at age 40, as a paranoid schizophrenic. Once I started to talk about MK Ultra, I started to reject the torture that went on. They were gonna destroy me, and they labeled me with in 2012 as mentally ill. In other words, and they talked about tremendously a lot on recordings from MK Ultra. You can hear all the time talking about the man with an iron mask over his face. That's what they did to some political prisoner in mid-ages to punish him, basically for lifetime. They gave him this iron mask that he couldn't take it off his head, his face, and that's a psychiatric certificate even they gave, because forced unemployment, ultra violence that went throughout my childhood, kindergarten, grammar school, all the way to the military service. This stuff was simply unprecedented. That's what they replaced. They started to enforce unemployment. It pertains also to Colombian cartels. I should say Slovenian Milan Kučan is his name. That's a Slovenian Milan Kučan. Borut Pahor is whom Slovenes have elected also as a president. That was another animal they selected as a president. And have now Prime Minister Robert Golob, and then Foreign Minister Tanya Golob. So basically original criminals that would simply enforce crime, genocide, extermination procedure from birth to the grave and negotiating between this genocide with Vatican, with Americans, with United Nations representatives, with International Criminal Court. I see now Betty Hochler, who even delivered me at ICC Commission, where she is a member now, judge, and presented me as good as dead to the people that serve on the board now. They didn't have to worry about China, Russia, India. They didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. So they made sure that there would be absolutely, from birth to the grave, that they would do and paint their story. And this story, the way they painted it, it turned out ugly for them. It's just not, does not fit their description in absolutely any way. It fits the description of lies, just as the lies that pertain to Pablo Escobar. The world which governments paint, people embrace, I would even say for a common good, for the way they want, the way it's good for everybody in that sense. So yes, this video is about Pablo Escobar. I was delivered to Colombia when I was 6-7 months of age. I was tortured. I didn't need much to be exhausted completely. They were teaching me to walk, forcing me to walk. And before you know, the destination opened also for Colombia. Russians were totally obsessed with this. It was obsession. Josip Broz Tito had them, and Josip Broz Tito mentioned them, and Josip Broz Tito was not really interested in forcing me in so many different directions, where Russians started to establish Soviets, not Soviets, but Russians, really, Serbs, Eastern Europeans, if you like, Warsaw Pact, started to establish the routes, espionage, communication. And one of those communication routes just happened so also was Colombia, Venezuela and Colombia. What I can tell you about Venezuela, Colombia when I was a baby, it was a lot about big cities and people nervously walking back and forth. It was a bigger city than the one in Novo Mesto. In South America, I'm talking about. And the way it all started, the way this criminal network expanded literally, with Russians giving an extreme importance to South American, Colombia, Venezuela, Colombia, when it comes to drugs. Coordinated business, which I'm sure already existed before I came to this world. We're talking about 1973, Moscow, Colombian people would arrive to Slovenia, to Yugoslavia for a visit here. Intensive stay in Colombia with presidents, whatever they had, ministers, prime ministers. I did not even go over to see facial yet. Right at the top of the state. And also what became people like Don Ochoa, like the man that you see right there. This is just one of the minor people involved in it.
Don Pablo Escobar.
Don Pablo Escobar.
Most of you did not notice anything here. But I did. I have a very, 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 very sharp eye. I always had extremely sharp eye. Do you see how clean shaved Pablo Escobar is? Do you see it? None of you paid any attention to this. This man said that he did met the real Pablo Escobar. He knows the whole thing. Look how clean he is. I was given by Colombian government about 3 associates. When I was a baby, I probably was about a year and a half old when they threw me on a picture with a real cartel people. They didn't have many, or at least that I would know of. They had some, but what happened was my associates, they always won. Somehow those other cartel people, they were just not lucky. It was always the news that came out that they died, whatever happened to them. It wouldn't last too long. Competition. These associates were brutal. They were brutal. This is also the song that repeated quite a few times because over the course of time, it's also other associates that would join. They lost it. They keep losing it, and somehow they always ended up as dead. This was the name of the song. I did not even understood what the fuck that is. That's how young. I did not even understood. I don't understood a lot of shit, but I quickly understood what a torture is. I quickly understood what torture is, and I quickly understood stuff that these people can do to you and your inability to do this to them. And even if you had the ability, what could have happened to you? Finally, they could kill you. It took me some time to understand what the fuck this is to get killed. That's how young I was, a mini baby. When I was rated as one of the 3 main gangsters in entire Colombia. I became so, in a parenthesis, dangerous probably just by age 4 maybe. I was told that I'm so dangerous. Yeah, by age 4 I was told that I'm so dangerous that the presidents, prime ministers, Colombian, no longer could afford themselves to be next to me. That's how dangerous is what I was told I was. How dangerous can one baby be? Year and a half, 2 years old baby, 3 years old. How dangerous can one baby be? How dangerous can you be? You can be dangerous. You can be just as dangerous as this tape. If I have a lot of power and I say that this tape is a holy grail, and I said that I just heard the Holy Grail told me, then I need to kill one of you, and I go and I pop one of you. This tape could be very dangerous because it tells me again that I need to pop another one of you. And you learn that based on whatever tape tells me, you can lose your life. That's how dangerous I was as a baby. You could take a stone and do the same thing with him. I didn't have any kind of importance. Really. The only importance I had was one. Yeah, they said we cannot afford anymore for us to have you at home, to be seen with you, because you're so dangerous. I was 4 years of age, 3 years of age, and the ministers, Colombians, they no longer wanted to host me. At 7 years of age, they no longer wanted to absolutely have anything to do with me, that I was so dangerous. Just by seeing them with me or seeing me next to them could mean a death sentence. Maybe there were some other factors in it, of course, too, but I doubt it, because a real Pablo Escobar was a Colombian government. There was no Pablo Escobar. The real Pablo Escobar was a Colombian government. The real Pablo Escobar was located in Moscow. The real Pablo Escobar was located in New York, in the United States of America, finally also in London. The real Pablo Escobar was international net of governments and criminals. And the money that used to arrive to Colombia, that I learned in continuation, was the money that arrived instead of what would be otherwise interpreted as aid, as assistance, financial aid. You know, like they would give the assistance financial aid to African countries and such, countries that are not developed and so on. They probably did give to Venezuela and Colombia too, but maybe that was just, you know, the outcome of a really, really strong, good diplomacy, which entirely was brokered through this case. It was brokered entirely on my name. On my name. On my name. Well, I will explain to you what I mean by my name. If I tell you that the entire life of Pablo Escobar, Don Ochoa, and all others literally was built through this case. In this video, I'm going to do my best to explain to you what exactly that means to build, for somebody's life to be completely built on somebody's obviously psychiatric. Now, psychiatric comes when I'm in question, But I'm an ant. I'm a small, little, tiny, little crumble, a little ant that does not exist anywhere else than on a state-issued document ID. We're talking about the governments here. Pablo Escobar, the way you saw, the way he was so clean, shaved, better shaved than I am today, most of the time was clean like this, was shaved like this. From the beginning, they all were, when it was a discipline, from the beginning, when it all started. It all started when I was a year and a half, maybe less. Those were my associates. What did I know about all this stuff? Nothing. All I knew is that it was, certain families that I was around, and, they also had children, and then it was that other stuff. They treated me like I was their associate, like I was 50 years of age. It was like, and now it's a job. As a child, you don't know what the fuck the job, as a baby, you don't know nothing about what the job is. And, but you learn quickly. When they tell you, and now it's a job, I could see that these uncles, fathers, they were all dressed up. They had ties. Some of them had ties. They had shirts, sharp looking. They had women. To me, all look like big children that are fucking acting in front of me. That's kind of a strange. But that's exactly what it felt like. It felt like, so you're fucking big, and you have your tie, and you have your shoes shit polished, and pants ironed on the edge, and shirt sharp, and you think you're hot shit because you also have a good looking wife, and there was some kiddies, and you have the car, and you have all this shit. This is how I saw it. I saw it, and I'm just a small here. I was saying to myself, it did not sit very well with me, this stuff. This was just Colombia. One transaction that pertained to MK Ultra. As the years went by, I started to judge this cartel people. Started to see them in a different way. I don't know nothing about this stuff till I went to first grade of the grammar school, talking about the judging. My associates, in a parenthesis. By the time I came to the first grade of grammar school, in 1977 or 1978, there was already 2 associates that were gone. It was just one associate, and that was the one that was the nicest with me. And there was already other people involved in it. By the time I reached grammar school in 1978, I was already rated as assistants of the main boss, cartel boss in Colombia, the main guy next to him, who went on to question me whether maybe even I am the main guy. for all the cartels. It was about the drugs. It was about killing people. I don't know, properly understood. But I can say that I was 100 times smarter during MK Ultra than I was in real time. I knew what it meant to get rid of somebody if that person was just making all the time troubles and mistakes, because already as a baby, because this is what they trained me. Like a German, like you would train a German Shepherd. That's how they were training me. Like you would train a German Shepherd. It was all the time about the money. I learned about what the money is. And I learned as a baby that there was a way to get rid of somebody if that somebody was giving you problems. There are many different ways I could use to get rid of somebody if he was making me problems. I could complain about him. Obviously, by myself, I couldn't do anything to him, but they started to teach me how to get around, how to go after extensive torture, during which I was completely impotent, only awarded for, whatever they were brainwashing me with, to have an attitude and award me, give me compliments and stuff like this. Is what they do with you. But they don't allow you to have any revenge against anybody as a child, as a baby. And so he kind of feels shit. He kind of feels that there's endless pain without any solution other than to submit yourself to that pain, obey, and go along the pain. And they did this to me for a few years. But probably I was like 4 or 5 years old when I was less, 3, 4 years old, when they already started to teach me that there is a way around also this. And it was tell me about it, my associate. The associates were the people, this is what they claim throughout MK Ultra, whom I selected. They claimed this for various reasons. The number one reason was they wanted to make these associates feel safe. They wanted them to do stuff that they otherwise would not. This one could fucking talk. Because if I interpretate you that this one here has a magical powers, you're not going to get into jail. And if the worst comes to worst, if they throw you in the jail, there is a back door in that jail that you're going to walk through. I may even proclaim you as dead to grant you a new issued state ID, which was all the time. This was the shit that went all the time. It was all the time. This is nothing new. You too would be empowered. You too would feel ain't there much to lose. It was said that I recruited more gangsters than anybody, than any cartel, and all cartels together, the bosses of the cartels, that I recruited more bandits than then it was possible to even imagine. Probably this one here was really efficient. They had a difficulty recruiting for the cartels, but when they threw me in the middle of it, they had no difficulty recruiting for the cartels for some magic reason. I had these cartel people looking at me like this. Sometimes I wondered, what the fuck is that? I heard them saying that they would not join, but because of him we will join. There were also some other reasons involved in it. I will discuss later, not right now. Sure enough, nobody would want to go and get rid of anybody because of the 1, 2, 3-year-old baby, child. Nobody want to do that because of 4, 5, 6-year-old drugged up child. But even to get rid of the associates, this came handy. This kid. If I only can make him hate the guy I want to get rid of it, then I can get rid of this guy really, really, really easily. This here, this was a window to America, to Britain, to Europe, to Soviet Union, to all other countries around the world. Without this, it didn't matter. There were cartels, they had unlimited amounts of cocaine, drugs. Unlimited, fucking unlimited. Worse than Pablo Escobar. There was a guy who had worse, more. At least one. Was two of them. They had warehouses packed up with cocaine. I think this is where also Pablo Escobar was getting most of his stuff. Anyhow. But the thing is that without this, the whole thing looked like a shit. The whole thing didn't go anywhere. They had too much supply, but the supply did not trade, did not sell, did not go anywhere. For the Central Intelligence Agency, American FBI, CIA, British, and all other governments out there, without this shit here, there was no contact with the cartels. This shit here, this one, me, myself, this was a real Pablo Escobar. This was a Colombian government. This was a Central Intelligence Agency. This was a FBI. This was a British state led by the royals, by all other royals, by all other Western governments, and by Moscow. This thing here, this was a real Pablo Escobar. I did not exist. But on the other hand, I did exist. It didn't help if you had all the drugs in this world without this. And it didn't help if you had all the power in this world, police and courts and intelligence agency and military, whatever the fuck you had, without this. Because that would be like taking a phone call, making a call, and just waiting for somebody to answer on the other line, basically without even dialing the number. This is the way it was. This is what this was. This was the key to absolutely everything. There was a lot of money. Money was a lot. The way the money was, the money, when it comes to the money, this was way before Pablo Escobar. The money was counted in billions. The money was not counted in millions. The money was counted in billions. So, take time and go and see $1 billion in the notes, in a money, in the notes, cash. I sat at the table, and with the Slovenian, with the Serbian sides, with the Russians, they would make a deal. I sit at the table with Americans, with the British. They would make a deal with the Colombian ministers. It was minister that would come. Always minister. It was minister, and it was a police minister or head of the police. There were always two. And it would be in billions. I know all about million and billion and so on. They demanded from me to become a counter. The Colombians gave me a job to learn to count the money. This was the main thing, to count the money. This shit was supported by the British royals. So I was not interested in the fucking counting, but I became interested when they explained to me what the money is. So how old the fuck do you think I was? I did not even know what the fucking money is. How do you like about that? I learned about what money is when I saw the presents to the children of the gangsters, of the politicians. And I saw that they got the real beautiful gifts. And they told me, and you're even the main associate and stuff, we're not going to give you. And they started to fuck with me about the money and all this business, and teach me that there is nothing worse than somebody that fucks it up things. Started to claim me that this is all your money. It was such an educational, progressive, systematic procedure they did, that I started to feel that this was my fucking money, that this was everything mine, fucking mine. I mean, that's it. This is the way they teach me. This is the way they brainwashed. They systematically built, using literally pedagogues, teachers and psychologists and stuff, to build a personality with gangsters about why the fuck money matters and that kind of stuff. And I became fucking vicious as a child, as a baby. I learned what it means to fuck it up. I learned about the guys that don't want to be nice, that they're just doing something always bad and stuff. And I even learned to complain. And I learned that they can get punished and stuff. I learned that my associate was El Grande. He was a really bad boy. He could do this stuff. He did also to other two associates. But I really learned that the whole game was to transition me into a personality that would basically respond to jabs. You know, I was not allowed gifts. I was not allowed to make decisions. Once Pablo Escobar came on a picture, and Pablo Escobar came late in the picture. Pablo Escobar arrived in the picture really late. He arrived in the picture finally sometimes in 1970. Well, not so late, 1979, you know. I even learned that I have to stand up for myself. I learned absolutely everything. But there you're talking about the grown-ups and very dangerous grown-ups. You're talking about the grown-ups that kill people. It took me a while to understand what means kill people. They use different approaches for me to understand what means to kill people. And I also learned what it means to go completely insane with these gangsters. They had a funny games, mental games. One game I already told you that they were doing a lot of bad stuff, and there was just no way to retaliate. And they were doing this for a very long time. They were doing it for so long that they even explained to me that this is my life, that this is the way it is. The other game they were doing to me was Pablo Escobar. That was once he became in charge. It was extremely intelligently run. And this was not even Pablo Escobar. There were others before the Pablo Escobar, but Pablo Escobar would use exactly the same approach. Pablo Escobar, with a team, what he would do is he would run all the time. They would talk to me about whether something came through or did not came through, and they were always making situations that will make me believe even that I'm in control, and even make me believe that, you know, that how good it was and whatever it was, and on the other hand that somebody fucked it up and so on, and they drove me insane with the idea that somebody is always fucking things up, that there is always some kind of fuck up that doesn't want to do it. It's always a fuck up. And agitated me so much that I was like, I really shifted in a gangster mode as a child. Basically, that around this man, I started to feel the need that it's necessary to eliminate guys that fuck it up. And that's exactly the stuff that Pablo Escobar was searching. That's exactly the type of personality he was searching. With very soon, my giving him an orders to eliminate people for whom the fuck, I don't know, he was a manipulative. Remember when I told you about this shit? Keeping me all the time agitated on the toes about that there's people that are fucking up, the operation's not running smooth, making problems, till I eventually I started to even give the orders to pop some guy here and there if he's not doing the orders and stuff like this. The problems were many. Most of them are not real, just as I explained right here. but many were real. The guys that would get into this company with my associates, they always end up doing cocaine. They always end up with alcoholism, and torture was required per government. They had to torture me whether they like it or not. Remember when I told you there was more guys that I recruited than entire cartel boss organization? I heard somebody throwing those in the trash right here behind our house. So I guess they're busy at 2 o'clock in the morning. People have different habits. They fucking interrupted me in the middle of something really important. It was also stated that the people whom I was selecting, we go back to this issue here. Yeah, I was killing people, I gave the order to people to get killed, I was recruiting people, I was selecting people. Selecting people meant the gangsters, the cartel bosses that I selected, that I work with, I told you they were obligated to torture. They lasted longer than the bosses they had. You know, other organized formations, cartels that they existed out there. You know what I mean? They didn't last that long. They didn't last this long. The guys that I approved, and that's true, they last and last and last and last and last, and they run these cartels for eternity when compared to even in Miami. Even in Miami, that's crazy. Even in Miami, that's crazy. When compared to not regulated, you know, cartels that did not go through this thing. How did that happen? That happened because the cocaine is a powerful substance. Alcohol too. The most powerful chemical substance, however, is a torture procedure, causing somebody pain, harm. That changes the chemicals inside of your brain enormously. And the solution of those chemicals, a mixture of cocaine and violence that you are obligated to engage as a gangster, as a participant, as a member of this cartel. If you're not normal, very, very soon you will find yourself on the wrong side of the road, doing shit that you're not supposed to. And because of your behavior, it will be a politician that will get fucked. That's basically the one that gave you the job. You understand? There are ways I could fuck these guys if they were bad. Don Ochoa, this man here that I demonstrated you. You see the man right there? He didn't have any kind of mercy. He was like myself. That Don Ochoa was just like myself. Don Ochoa and myself, Don Ochoa learned from me. See Don Ochoa? Look at him, how clean he is. Look at him. That's That's see this here? Look at him with a hat, with a cowboy hat. See that? And on the same day, look at the Pablo Escobar, how clean he is. The Pablo Escobar had a beard, mustache and shit. But when I came, every fucking time when I came, very often, when I was child, almost always Don Ochoa came with me. He would so fucking shave himself. I told you about the associates that I spoke earlier. They were all shaved like really like a pussies. They reported themselves to a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old cartel boss who came from Europe. With Mr. Ochoa, this was later. But I was delivered to these cartel members by the politicians, by the police. Make no mistake, they were afraid of making mistakes. By the time that I was given to them, it was for them the most crucial time of life. And a little mistake, it could have you removed. You have seen one video with Don Ochoa talking to Pablo Escobar and Ochoa's sons and stuff. His sons. This is already when everything went to the hell, because they were taking drugs. They were taking cocaine. I hated cocaine. I hated drugs. I hated alcohol. And they knew that stuff. They couldn't fuck with me, even that I was drugged up, and even that I was a baby, because they teach me about alcohol and cocaine. You're not supposed to alcohol cocaine, and I stick to the rules. And because of this shit, they didn't like me. The older guys did not like me. And they tried to push me into cocaine, and they tried to push me, but they were not allowed. One guy tried when I was 2, 3, 4 years old. There was this fucking guy who had a beard like this guy here that you see. Like beard like this guy that you see right there in the background. And he went, apparently that he went missing because he was too violent and stuff, and he was removed. They did not allow that kind of stuff to me to be done. Then later there was a period when they wanted to get me on the drugs at whatever costs, through the Slovenian Milan Kučan, through the Slovenian animals that would travel to Colombia. And Milan Kučan figured out that in a 2nd grade of the grammar school I could already do the cocaine, and started to push me into cocaine by using people, young kids. Demanded from me to give up on the school. Before this whole fucking thing started, it appeared like they want me to stay in the Colombia. They tried to keep me in Colombia. A little was missing that I did not become a Colombiano when I was barely knew for myself to exist. But by then I was already a good psychologist too. if I hated anything in this world, it was school. That was school. But once I came into school, as much as I hated the school, there is one thing I started to understand. Because of my father, because of my mother, I started to understand that without the school, you're nobody. That you do need school in life, that you do need school no matter what. No matter what you do in life, without the school, you need something that you can lean on, support yourself, push against, rest yourself if worse comes to worse. It's good for your brain, it's good for absolutely everything, for human development. And based on what I have seen, people that were educated, they were doing really well. Now, I was absolutely not into the drugs. Not interested. Milan Kucan started to push drugs through what became young children. A few years older than myself, maybe 11, 12 years old, already in a drug cartel, started to push me when I was just 8 years old to take cocaine, to take it. And started to convince me about there is money and you don't need the school. This is what Milan Kucan hired them. That's what Slovenian communists tried to convince me. They won't do this in MK Ultra world. But when you go back into the real world, it's the ideas that they instill inside of your head subconsciously that might actually fuck you up. And what happens is, before you know, you might end up skipping your class, not going to the school. I mean, God forbid you start taking some fucking cocaine or something. Yet even worse, for some junkie that gives you. We had junkies all around our house. They said there was no in Yugoslavia. We had apartment buildings from the Yugoslav officers, from police officers, from Serbs and all kinds of people right in front of our house over there at Trdinova 4, barely fucking waited, all surrounded. It was a city packed with these officers, packed with these KGB people, packed with this police and so on. They barely fucking waited to fuck you up. They had all kinds of junkies around, including junkies with the drugs. The drugs were around as much as the fuck you wanted. There were drugs. All you needed is take the fucking drug. And then, as you know, it's a steep road downwards. Traps so many that if they wouldn't kill you through the violence involved in MK Ultra, then chances in the real world you would not get yourself in something bad were really slender. Now, I did listen to my mom and to my father. That I have to thank them for. Because, and my sister, that you're not gonna take something. They were extremely, you're not supposed to take a candy from somebody. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that, and so on, you know? And I guess that I even survived some crazy attempt to destroy me through substances and shit when I was a child. Milan Kuc is a really, what can I say? This is just a real Slovenian. It's a real Slovenian person. And by the time I was 8 years old, 9 years old I was. I must have been 9 years old. Maybe this does not even fit inside of this stuff. The torture was so severe in Colombia that 8 years old I was. Second grade, I was a Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar entered already before. Pablo Escobar already entered when I was already year before. First grade at the grammar school. 1976, 1977. So they would not have people permanently. I will explain to you all that stuff so you get to understand the picture. I was so upset that I wanted to kill this guy. I really wanted to kill him, whatever costs. Barely started to understand what the fuck it means that you want to kill somebody, and this guy was so fucking bad that I really wanted to fucking kill this fucking guy. He was doing bad stuff, and I was growing up. Now I was already 8 years old. Oh, 8 years old, when compared to where I was. This is not a life of the normal person. The normal person starts to grow, and the normal person goes to the kindergarten. In most of the cases, when you go to the school, that means you are 6 or 7 years of age. My age came earlier. My age came when I was just few months of age. So I started to grow much, much earlier than what you guys did. And my life, therefore, was completely different view on society, on things. I feel things completely different. When I was 8 years old, I was already, oh my God, fuck, man. Felt like I'm 30 years old, and in reality, I was just a little piece, small, what's fair, I don't know how they say, how you would say that. But this is just the way it was. He pissed me off so badly that he would even touch me anymore for at least another 3 years. 2 years at least. It was really, really bad. Trade with the cocaine, with the drugs. Is such a business. This is also one of the things that I learned very quickly on. That is illegal. And they explained to me, illegal and not fucking legal. I had to understand all this shit practically as a baby. What the hell that meant. But basically what that meant is that they can put you to the jail if they get you. And I was, oh, okay. And they were explaining to me everything about the world, and jail and policemen and this and that and so on. Like, you think it would stick with me? It did. It did stick with me for about maybe months, 2, 3 months. And then I would not know anymore about the fucking thing again. And then they would again have to explain to me and shit. This is how young I was. I was so fucking young that I was just really comprehending the world, catching myself about, you know. Pablo Escobar was laughing whenever he would, you know, they all the time talk. You know, and about how somebody fucked it up and this and that, you know. And they would always make up the stories about how it's very important that somebody's going to go pick up whatever the fuck they're going to go pick it up, and so on and so forth. And then if he made it, you know, what a great thing was, you know. We had a few days off and this and that. This was like some kind of transition in between. Very occasionally, actually not really occasionally, but we would go to the ranch of Ochoa. Already as I was a baby practically, we would go to the Ochoa. And Ochoa was really like, who the fuck I knew what this man was. It was like a grandfather, you know. You just travel to some fucking place remote, distant, till you would get to Ochoa's. And that was a farm, and it was just always this, man who always was happy to see me, and there was like always nice, right? In that sense. Ochoa was completely insider of the British royals. Ochoa became contracted through me. He became child has magical powers. He want to recruit somebody. It was not only the drug lords they were recruiting. Sia and royals, and they were also recruiting. And they recruited him. This Milan Kuchan, this man was so violent. The Slovenes, the Serbs that were going to Colombia, they were so violent that it wasn't difficult to recruit Colombians. Who the fuck knows? It's possible that KGB had a deal with Americans, with royals. Who the fuck knows? And one of the connections who saw himself in me enormously, who liked me, the way I look and everything, I guess, and I liked him, I guess, it was like a match made. Just happened was the old man Ochoa, Father Ochoa. And he signed up with British, with Americans, with the CIA. And so now what happened was Russians, Serbs, Slovenes that espionaged in Colombia were making deals. They traveled with me out of the city to a destination for which I knew was on my side. So now you're talking about baby that is just a few years of age, and he travels with grown-up man, and he is already conscripted as a spy by the British. For that stuff you have to read blog about how that stuff went. They literally stayed in our house in the Novo Mesto city. Oftentimes, visitors, since I was really, again, a baby. Now, I know that this scum from Slovenia, from Serbia, is just really a scum. Russians or rough people. But I had a magic friend. Everywhere I went, I had a magic friends. In case of the cartels, a nice person was Ochoa. By the way, British royals also traveled to Ochoa. And that was supposed to remain the secret between us. And it did. It absolutely did. Except that you're going to learn in continuation that this secret was filthy secret. Rather a most disgusting thing in the world that one possibly can imagine could happen to him or to her. A treachery, backstabbing, as I learned later stage. And so this is how Ochoa came on a picture. Ochoa would always appear here and there, but this was not a big news. This was just a man who had this beautiful farm, whatever, outside of the city, where we would have to travel considerable amount of time to get there. I don't know how long the hell was it, one day. So that's what it felt like. But there was one thing about Ochoa. Ochoa was always in drugs. Ochoa was not doing drugs. Ochoa never did drugs. Ochoa was just as abstinent when it comes to drugs as I was myself. It would have nothing to do with drugs, absolutely not. But he was he was a very, 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 very brilliant man. This was a very, 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 very brilliant man. This was a man who was extremely, extremely brilliant. He was simply a conscript, a mercenary, and at the same time, man who would host even British royals, innocent, an ordinary peasant, wealthy farmer, gringo-like style man, person, serious person, working man. And that's how he camouflaged his escapades through Colombia, through the most dangerous terrains. They used him as a courier. He could travel where other people would not make it out alive. Police would not go through any. There was one thing about him. I even had to travel with him sometimes. I was buying a land with him, with Don Ochoa, with the father, Don Ochoa, with the man who at one stage point he was selected as a novelty. So I liked him and so on. I will explain that in continuation. Let's just leave that stuff for now. We would travel sometimes. I would travel sometimes with him. I would walk the fuck for 2 days. Milan Kuchan would get to go on a hiking with him. Even that stuff happened. Robert Golob, this Slovenian communist, they got to see this, my whereabouts, where the fuck I was. I don't know. He had a funny reputation. He had a really, really funny reputation. He had a reputation that he made me feel that he was from another part of the country and then he bought the land over there and all that stuff. He had a reputation that he just, like a magician, he could do things that others couldn't do. Really, like I said, the people would simply not make it. Whatever that meant. They even found the people dead, is what I was told. People who tried to do the same thing he was doing. So he was really good at, he was really, really lucky. And others were just not lucky. And I'm not going to even go into here in more details. This is good enough for me. You understand what I'm trying to say? This was Don Ochoa. And yeah, sometimes in 1978 also, sometimes in second grade at the grammar school, it was about the operations that will have to move from the city to the village. But I don't know. It was about deciding 1978 that it would go everything in direction of Ochoa, and those that were deciding about this literally were British royals. Prince Andrew, Prince Charles gave me the news that they decided see how big this shit is? Because of me, for my sake also, to take business to Ochoa. So you guys, all you do is you watch that fucking movie and they tell you, bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, bum. In year such and such it was da-da-da-da-da. In year such and such it was da-da-da-da-da. But you don't really know nothing about how this functions. You watch the fucking movie and you think about, oh yeah, man, the guy was so fucking good. And, you know, he just went and turned dollar around and $100 and turned $100 around, $100,000, $100,000 around, $100 million and so on. This is not the way it works. This shit was all done through a top Illuminati figures. Every fucking thing, absolutely everything. There was no coincidences, there was no miracles. This was just one big fucking show. That's why I said there was no such thing like Pablo Escobar. I never said this to his son, but his crazy son started to believe that he was also a nobility, that he was also entitled actually a king status in Colombia. Because there was all kinds of people and they started to make claims and stuff that, yeah, ¿qué es lo que tú piensas? Tú eres rey, tú eres verdadero rey. You are the fucking king, you're the real king. You should be the king and so on. And it's a power trip. It gets to you. You start to learn about the world, you see the things. You see how people see things, how they see you and how everything. And it gets to you. It's an understandable thing. Everything went through the Colombian government. To me, the visitations they continued to pay, they didn't want to meet me anymore in Colombia. They would pay me visitations right here to Slovenia. I had ministers coming. I had top police coming. When I was age 9, I told you about how the Pablo Escobar pissed me off. 9 I was. So that must have even happened earlier that he pissed me off. He was on a picture already for some time. He was also in another city, wherever the fuck I was. But he was coming to visit. Pablo Escobar was already involved since I was a baby, basically. He was always coming to visit my associates. I just realized that he was involved much earlier. Man, Milan Kuchan told me, come on man, we have them here. And they were we have the right one. We had the whole group of these Colombian people that would come here to Yugoslavia, to Slovenia. These meetings, they would be taking place at a school, a local school, I think, where I was attending the school, but this was all in after hours and days off and so on. And I go listen what they have to say. There was already one time I saw this guy who appeared to be like like a police officer, extremely sharp police officer. And I also learned in between that what commando is, commandos and stuff like that, the special police. And this guy was a commando already that I watched on the pictures since I was 6 years old or something like that. A police officer is the one who's going to take care of you. Come on with us, And so I go there. They did enormously a lot of bad stuff to me, And they talk and talk and talk and talk. But I didn't want to listen talk. What I wanted to hear is how we're going to get rid of somebody. You see, in between, I already became a gangster, a child. I was now already in second, third grade of the grammar school, second grade maybe. 9 years old, I was already in a third grade of the grammar school. Right? That is what I think. Second grade maybe of the grammar school, I don't know. Second, third, I don't know. And what I needed to hear is how we are going to kill this guy who was doing me bad stuff. He was doing me a lot of fucking bad stuff. And this grown-up man, they talk, Milan Kučan, the Robert Golob, that kind of stuff, with local police and entire palette of this Colombian, even commandos and police and the Minister of Interior and such, and sit and talk about this stuff. And I listen and I listen and I listen. And I say, yeah, and they deliberately touched. You see, this was yet another type of torture. They touched the subject of the guy also who was making me problems. That guy was a Pablo Escobar. And when they touch him, they don't allow me to talk. It's like, cállate la boca, shut up. So I listen further. I am now miserable as fuck, sitting for 2 hours. And all the fuck I do is I listen, blah, blah, blah. I don't hear nothing smart from these guys. And yeah, meeting was finished. I said, no, meeting is not finished. They said, what do you mean? I said, you didn't say nothing about but this guy and so on. They tried to fuck off. I was drugged up. As a drugged up child, you don't get through. It was a struggle. It was a fight till we started to discuss what the fuck to do with this guy, with Pablo Escobar, and I wanted him killed. Suppose this. If you can get child to this psychological state, it's impossible. But I was at that stage already when I was just maybe 9 years old, maybe even less. Milan Kučan stated that they have the world record. He was laughing. He said, we already have a first guy who wants to kill Pablo Escobar. This is the youngest ever that wants to go and kill the cartel guy, and ha 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 ha. The Colombian police was also laughing about, and then they started to shovel me, and they wanted to prove the point that they are adult, big, strong, and I'm just, nothing much really. And then they asserted that to the Slovenian police, this is how they train me, that this is how they train me. We want him to be like this. We want him to be like this. We want him to respond like this and so on. We do it. Both sides, the Slovenian, Serbian, and Colombian, they acted in front of me like, it's the coordinated police action, police thing. It looked like it's a police sting, like it's run by the police. It was run by the police. But that's not what it was. It was not anywhere even remotely what it was. Or maybe it was, but I don't think it was, because the cartels even exist today. So I know that definitely was not. Some Colombian or fucking Venezuelan governments, it's American, fucking British that need them just as they need them. It's a symbiosis. They would want less drugs, and the normal thing is that Colombians, they want more drugs. It's a business. It's a normal thing. This was the first ever attempt, I understand, that somebody wanted to kill the drug lords. Maybe it was the police that did something to me. Maybe it might have not even been Pablo Escobar, I have no fucking idea. But Pablo Escobar was afraid of me. He knew who the fuck I was. And he knew one thing, that for the cost of life, I am willing to retaliate. I am willing to do whatever the fuck it takes to get even. His face that I showed you earlier, how nicely he was shaved, trimmed, better than myself right now. He had good reasons for that shit. Next to Father Ochoa, I didn't like the guys with the beard. I didn't like two things. I didn't like the cocaine. I didn't like no fucking alcohol. And I didn't like no beard. Already you're having the beard meant to me that you are up to something no good. Usually it was psychopaths that had not clean shaven shit. I don't like them. Simple as this. For me, it already meant you're a problem. Simple as this. I had my own discipline. I started to demand from grown-up men to also do exercise. I want them to be like in the military. I told them sometimes at the time I was like 4th grade of the grammar school, 3rd grade of the grammar school, 1980, 1981. I told them, you must do fucking exercise and not eat cocaine. They wanted to kill me. They had their way of talk. Pushing luck too far, even for the child, could be lethal very, very quickly. They were warning me to shut the fuck up. The bosses were talking to me that I have to be careful with this guy or that guy and so on and so forth, that kind of stuff. And they were 3/4 fucking crazy people, I tell you. They really were fucking crazy people. And then in return they started to fuck with me, and that, even sharpened me and the whole thing. And when I told you that I got a lesson. Drugs are a criminal. It's not the money, it's a criminal income. It's the first lesson as a baby I got this, that they were explaining to me that the drugs, it's a money, but it's not a legal money. And this was the problem with the Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar became a problem because he did not understood that the main thing is to work with the people. He did not understand that your life as a drug dealer, as a cartel boss, it depends on a fucking government people, because the income itself, it's not legal. Remember when I told you can go to the jail, you can go to the jail, you know? Well, you can go to the jail if they get you. And they demonstrated me how the fuck you go as a baby to the jail. They put something in my pocket, whatever the fuck. Here in Slovenia, even in the cinema, and they went in the pocket, police officer, oh, look what the fuck I found. And I had no fucking idea what that was. Oh, look, you see this? You go to the jail now. Yeah, you take him to the jail. Yeah, we go to the jail for, I don't know, 1 year or something. You have to go to the jail and stuff like this. So this is how they make me understand what the fuck is this money from the drugs. This is the way I was brought up. This is the way I was brought up around the police and gangsters. This is just the way it was. And Pablo Escobar did not understood that even as a fucking grown-up man. He was taking this shit further. He took it too far. He was doing excellent. How the fuck would you not do excellent? Sitting at a table. How much is it going to be for? $1 billion. The Colombian minister that would become and do this stuff, he couldn't fucking believe his own eyes. He couldn't fucking believe his own ears. Meeting me was a pleasure. Meeting me, the Colombian ministers, president, politicians in Colombia claimed that if I ever come to Colombia, that the whole Colombia is going to be mine. This is your country. This is your. If you ever go there, better than president. Everything yours, like a king, literally. You tell this to a little child, stuff like this, and you keep coming to him and you keep saying this shit to him, he'll fucking believe you. They keep coming and they keep taking money. We'll sit at the table, they will do the business, and the money keep rolling. The money keep rolling. Unfortunately for Pablo Escobar, he got more and more people killed. Pablo Escobar completely lost his track of his mind. Sometimes in 1984, he continued to do bad stuff to me for no fucking reason. He just, remember when I told you that there is guys that fucking lose themselves in a fucking cocaine and shit? He was much smarter than other guys. But Pablo Escobar undisputably started to drown in cocaine sometimes in 1982. It was a relationship of love and hate between me and him. On one way, I fucking loved him because he was on the picture already when I was earlier than what I thought. And on the other hand, he was doing a really bad stuff, crazy shit. He would go and burn the fucking money in front of me, gesturing me that I need one and I cannot have one. He did stuff that, you would really want to kill him. And it wasn't about burning money in front of you, but, the type of torture, the type of terror, trauma stuff, it basically wanted me to come back to him with a machine gun and face this whole fucking cartel, because they were all so violent. It was so violent. In 1984, these people started to completely lose track of their mind. The decision was made that Pablo Escobar had to go. He killed too many people. He would go out there, just as you know, and boom, 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 boom. He killed, and when he killed, he had to kill more. And he was doing this for the sake of something that was criminal, that was illegal. He did not understand the basic rule about what the drugs is, what drugs are. Drugs, ladies and gentlemen, that's like a compliment of the government to you. If they say to you one thing, then this is the way it is. Whatever they say to you, if you're not going to respect as a drug dealer, as a cartel boss, then in that case, you will go missing. This is always administered by the police, by none other than police. And Pablo Escobar had more and more and more problems. One of the problems he had also was with the little bandits, as they saw them. They saw the young kids as garbage. They saw the young kids as completely worthless. The young kids were really bad. But as I got to talk to the young kids, and this is how I became literally a god in Colombia. Some of the kids, and I watch this shit all the fucking time. I watch it all the fucking time. The kids would come, and the kids would be killed within 2-3 years. You know what the fuck that is? I listened to fathers that they lost the kids. They came to work for Pablo Escobar, and they would die within 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, 3 years. Many. Because of the fucking drugs. The drugs. Pablo Escobar had to even eliminate them himself sometimes, because they became dangerous for everybody. And I told you that in this business, you cannot be dangerous, because if you become drug addict, you can bring the police straight to the door of the politician, not only of the drug trafficker, not only of your boss as a drug traffic cartel boss, but directed to the doors of the politicians. The politicians will come and visit. That's fucking dangerous, reckless. It's even more dangerous when you have a kid like this with a gun and pulls the fucking gun out on people and terrorize and make him so big because he feel good about himself. That's also what I was used for. I was used for this kind of people to detect them, all kinds of people, and deselect them out before something bad would happen. When I was just probably in 1980, I didn't finish earlier because just so much information about this shit. There was a war that exploded between me and Milan Kucan with my insisted kids. That's actually, they wanted me to take drugs, and I told them, no, fucking take no drugs. I told them, you go and you do the muscle, you do the workout, you do the muscles. You start to do the workout and fuck the drugs. They wanted to kill me because of that stuff too. Talking about the drug cartel bosses. When they learned that I started to teach the kids not to take drugs, they wanted to fucking kill me. Little the fuck did I know for myself, but the point was that when the kids came, they threw them on the drugs. They were even bad people that told them, if you don't take drugs, that man with the beard that you saw, I think that's a son-in-law, something like that. He was not a bad person, that guy. You can see that they were very smart when they video recorded that stuff, because otherwise it was violence, a lot of violence. And the kids would have to start. This is the type of politics, you see. You bring the people in, you want to use them for some time, and by the time they learn the stuff, you want to give them some money to smell, and by the time they learn something about, you get rid of them of the picture. Of course, not all the kids were like this. Some of the kids lasted for a long time. Some did not, whatever the fuck the case was. These were the poor kids from poor families, totally starved families. They would come. And I started the rule that there is no more forcing drugs on the children, and that on the kids 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. Only if they want drugs, then you give them. And even this, I told them, this is no good. I was so stubborn and so effective, demanded a clean shave. I was not by myself. It was in the interest of those others too. Brain. Pablo Escobar did not want to, in a way he did, in a way he couldn't, even if he wanted to. Pablo Escobar was afraid of his own associates. This is basically a cartel, and everybody has guns. You really don't know from one day to another what can happen from one day to another. It could be a bad news for you too as a boss. Everybody has guns. It's just as this. And this is the stuff also the Pablo Escobar personally teach me. So don't fuck with this stuff, with these people. Because, they all, like myself, he said, they all have guns. Some are even more armed than I am. This is the way it was. And it was a war with Milan Kucan going against me. Milan Kucan lost fight against me, together with the cartel garbage that was there. Literally, my getting favored by the people like Father Ochoa, by, old cats that were in the background, on how it must be given a chance. Only take drugs if you have to take drugs. Otherwise, taking drugs is like some form of initiation process. Like joining to the club was, you have to take a little. And as you know, that little will take you to the more. The kids that started to join Pablo Escobar even during total fucking crisis. They had a crisis of how to solicit, how to hire new recruits. Didn't even want to join the Pablo Escobar anymore because of Pablo Escobar. They literally started to join because of me, because of what I stated to you. There was this kid that was drugged up, and he's got stuff obviously that is not available at other clans. They started to see themselves not only the kids that would join the cartels. This was earlier. This was a third grade, not for sure when I was 10 years of age, maybe even 9 years of age. Milan Kuchan lost argument. I was a psychologist, studied every fucking person that I interacted with to see whether they want good or bad for me. And I knew immediately whether they want good or bad for me based on education. If they wish me to continue to education, how basically they viewed me as. You know what I mean? And I studied everybody like this, and Escobar and Ochoas, and absolutely every one of those guys that was there. And what happened was, I told them stuff that nobody would tell them before. I told them, you're never going to be anybody. You don't have any kind of education. I told them this in spite, out of anger, whatever the fuck they did to me, to retaliate against them and so on. You know, I told them, you don't have any education, you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have. And what happened was, I was around royals. I was around elites. Pablo Escobar, he loved also golden watch. He loved also good stuff, you know. The best women, the best cars, the best cigars, the fucking planes, whatever the fuck, the best, always was the best, always the best. He subconsciously, whether he wanted to see himself or not, he had to see himself to survive in a Rolls Royce, in expensive shit, you know? And the same shit was with others. Every one of those gangsters, even as much as they want to look like, you know, every fucking one of them had one need in common. And it doesn't matter. They wanted the best, good, and the best stuff in the world because the money was not a problem. And that, the best, the most expensive shit, everything, including with the Colombian government, with the ministers and presidents and so on, that expensive shit I was the one. The shit must have happened even earlier than in my third grade at the grammar school. I told them, you will never be anybody. I told them this and so on. When they started to teach me to leave the school and stuff, I told them, you're never going to be anybody, and so on and so forth. Now they look at me confused. They say, we got the money, I got money here, you don't have nothing, you know. Look at me, I'm so young and I have the money and this and that. What happened was, because I would not give in, despite all the shit they were doing to me, whichever way the fuck I did or whatever in the school, I don't even know how the fuck I did, but I did. I continue, and every grade that I passed, it was proving them that there is in this world also something they cannot have, even if they want to have, education. The Colombia was completely uneducated country when I came to Colombia. There was no such thing as people with degrees, doctors, etc., etc., etc. Close to 0 point nothing when compared with the rest of the world. Do you know this? Listen, it was literally because of me that I forced Colombian government. I stressed the Colombian government about this issue. They were not the only one, cartel. I went after the Colombian government and I told them, you need to have doctors, you need to have lawyers, you need to have people with university degrees and so on and so forth. So much that those over there in Moscow and Washington DC and in London, and I can now, based on what I stated to you, tell you, they all work together. They no longer liked me. The Colombian minister had a university. There was not people with university degrees. They had. He was laughing at me nervously, like this. It only took maybe 2 years when he came back, all nervous, all in fever. And he said, "That's right." He said, "Yeah, and we're also going to have improved universities, and we're going to open the universities and so on. We want to also invest the money in this and so on." And they told him, "No, but this is not a big deal. This is just." He said that this is the right thing to do. And we studied this thing, and we want the universities. We want to have the universities. Universities exploded through Colombia, with literally what became not only kids. The kids of the drug dealers did not see these universities, but next to these drug dealer kids that were hired, literally it was people that were involved in MK Ultra, kids that would start to attend these new universities, literally thanking me for giving them the opportunity to have ability to continue the school inside of the universities, inside of the Colombian universities. All of a sudden, the importance of the Colombian universities, even before, I have to see this shit, exploded. The interest all of a sudden to attend the universities of the Colombian government, to have as many people as educated as possible, all of a sudden exploded. This shit also, phenomena was also in Venezuela. All of a sudden everything shifted. First they didn't want to know nothing about the universities, about the stuff. All of a sudden they want universities. All of a sudden it was a bunch of these students, which they would continue to visit me inside of the store from my ex-wife. I did not even write about that one. Who would complete the universities also, and they would, with a university degree, people, educated, lawyers and so on, they would come to visit me inside of the store. Some of whom, parents, they would also do business through the cartel and so on. One thing I stated completely wrong about Pablo Escobar. Kids were joining this club because they lived much longer. The life expectancy also was much longer than in other cartels. It was kids that whose life was very short, stuff that happened, but otherwise these kids would last. And when I started with this program of no cocaine and shit, this was a totally different rank from other cartels. And so this cartel of Pablo Escobar actually gained a really, really powerful reputation despite the problems that Pablo Escobar was creating. He was getting himself in a conflicts, having problems, yet he would not still have problems, even with problems that he had, shootings and stuff, clan shootings, to hire new people. On average, the self-starters in cartels, self-cartel starters. It was kids that didn't want to go to work for anybody. They just want to do it on their own. Man, they would not even last. I knew kids who were involved in this shit. They lasted 2, 3 years, 4 years, and some even lasted 5 years. When I was involved with other cartels and wild kids who thought about themselves that they were, just as good and just as big. It's a lot of stuff that was very bad stuff, sad stuff. Today, you see him, tomorrow you no longer see him, or maybe entire group. Maybe if they lasted 5 years, that was already a very, very long time. This was a bloody business when it comes to the drugs. Yet the money continued to come in exactly the way is described at Pablo Escobar, how the rats were chewing the money in the warehouse and stuff like this. One time they brought me in there, and Pablo Escobar told me that it's rats that are eating the money, that he had to tell me something very important. And he was on the crack anyways, and he knew that I would immediately notice him that he's on the crack and stuff. Plus that, I think they probably use eavesdropping through me. Became 3/4 fucking crazy, order saving the money and shit and stuff like that. And he did not even know he was already inside of the crack. You see him on the meeting like one person. You see him over there on the camera like one person. But behind all this is the stuff that you don't see. When you see him on documentary and stuff, he was sober and stuff. But you don't see him when, in his, what was becoming more and more and more his state of mind. His family immigrated to the Panama. His child started to torture me. He tutored his child to torture me, using me literally for the visits to Panama to visit his family and stuff like this. He was doing a lot of bad stuff, man. Pushed his own son into something that I will explain later in what it all developed. In 1984, it was established that Pablo Escobar was a problem, if anything, for everybody. And it was established that they need to get rid of him. This is the story about the real Pablo Escobar that keeps going. Year was 1984. I was told by Central Intelligence Agency and British intelligence that it's time to get rid of Pablo Escobar because he's dangerous for everybody. The Colombian authorities had too many fucking problems with him. Something I started earlier, did not finish. What will surprise you is the way they figure out they're going to get rid of him. The way they were going to get rid of him was by simply flooding Colombia with the money, with the cash, with unlimited supplies of money. I don't know anything about that stuff. I heard that banknotes were also colorized or whatever the fuck they were doing. There was all kinds of stuff that you would not even notice if you get the banknote in your hands, whatever the fuck went on, maybe even GPS. Who the hell knows what the stuff that went on? I don't know. But they told me they are going to destroy him by giving him so much fucking money that he will fall prey to his own crazy habits, cocaine. So what they would do is they would flood him with so much money that they would give him a pleasure of unlimited amounts of money. Then at the same time, I have no idea what the hell went on. They wanted to boost habits, the cocaine habits in him, in order to bring him to the boiling point, which they successfully did. few years later, you already see that they raided a camp of Pablo Escobar. In 1989, the British followed the unsuccessful Colombian police attempt. It is nothing that pissed me more than Pablo Escobar, who became ultra-violent thug, playing with a gun, with death threat and all kinds of stuff he was doing to me, to the degree that when I finally learned that they are going to raid the camp with the helicopters, the Colombian police, in 1989, I demanded to participate. I demanded a machine gun for myself so that I can go with a machine gun myself together with the Colombian police, that I can participate. I demanded to participate. It wasn't the first thing. When I said to you that I was the first ever child who wanted to go and kill Pablo Escobar, crazy stuff, really crazy stuff, 9 years of age, I demanded the gun. I demanded the weapons. I got angry with the police. I told them, you're not going to do anything. He said, no, you're not going to. And then I said, you have to give me this so that I can go and I can do this stuff. I didn't want to go and force, but I was 9 years of age when I wanted to go by myself. I wanted to have the gun. I didn't even know about the fucking gun shit. This was the craziest part. Milan Kuchan was asking me, do you even know how to use the gun? What the fuck do you know about the gun and so on? I told him, just don't worry about this shit, just give me the fucking gun and drop me over there and so that I can go and I can do this stuff. That's all the hell there is to it. That's how much balls I had. That's how much I wanted to finish myself, Pablo Escobar. The drug lord Pablo Escobar. He was just doing bad stuff simply because he just chose to do bad stuff. He was just doing a bad stuff because he chose to do bad stuff. On the other hand, he also made me special. He could make you special, or he could piss you off to the bitter, to the end. He knew not to play with me, and yet he chose to play with me. And I would not take a grudge against him despite everything. I didn't take the grudge against him. I didn't take the grudge against Father Ochoa. And I didn't take any grudge against the sons of Father Ochoa. This is a pretty crazy relationship. It was a pretty crazy relationship because I was with these people already for so long. I seen these people already for so long that for me it was like I don't know if you could do this shit in a real time, how long this kind of relationship would go with the people. But for me this was like people like this, associates that I was already very, very, very long time with them. You know what I'm saying? And because I was already very long time with them, and it was like friend, hatred, love, hatred type of relationship. Milan Kuchan, once I fuck him up in 3rd grade of the grammar school with drugs that I started to request for others to have right to refuse the drugs, did fuck me back in the 6th grade of the grammar school. That was in year 1984 by asking, I don't know what they did to me, the kids, they angered me, where it was, they were involved in Mount Everest of torture. This was fucking torture camp, which Russians and Serbs, Slovenes were using to destroy me, to get me killed, absolutely. And he did propose something also for the kids to be given some kind of bonus or something like that. So he got something right. He got something right. It was so much of this stuff that I could go on and on and on and on and on and on about this stuff. Look, it's been already 2 hours and 20 minutes me talking about this shit. I know that I missed a bunch of things now. There's many other issues to stress, but let's continue with this. In 1989, Colombian police refused to give me the guns. This is something that I was begging them to do already since 1987, and in 1988, in 1989, Pablo Escobar was aware about how angry I was about this whole fucking thing, that I didn't want to have nothing to do with it. I mean, it didn't make fucking sense for me to be there other than being tortured. Nothing. This became, over the course of time, this became nothing other than a fucking torture camp. That's all the hell there was. There was nothing to it. Just that punishment, basically, that you had to be subjected to, and you had no way to escape, nowhere to run, nothing you can possibly do. And as Pablo Escobar alone explained, he couldn't explain himself better than that. He was burning the money right in front of me. It's actually even written over there to make his his daughter warm. I think he was doing this to glorify himself. This is what they were all love to do, that kind of stuff anyways. There were other criminals involved in this also in the Balkans and in Russia, and they all wanted to glorify themselves. This was the way to make the meat out of the chew, because everything was eavesdropping, recorded, and through the proper channels that governments would supply, as you're being, sir, a member of the elite Illuminati network, just like Pablo Escobar, you had ability to choose from the catalog which journals would you like to document your life. This is the way it worked. This is the Illuminati circle. This is why this Illuminati circle, this Illuminati is, like a business-wise, so impenetrable. From the fucking hug judges to royals to you fucking name it, White House, of course, and Congress, and you understand how big this shit is? Police, you fucking name it. The goal of this shit is to corrupt, to submit to knees, I guess, entire world to the organized crime. Except that, drug cartels are just, how the hell can I even say this to you? Drug cartels is just what I explained to you in this video. The real Pablo Escobar, I was definitely not. I was just that telephone that you pick up. And even if you didn't have the number on the other side, somebody listened to you anyways. And yeah, when they pick up the telephone, you had ability to pick up the telephone and listen. Or not, it was up to you. This is the nature of the real Pablo Escobar that nobody ever mentioned, and it's hated truth. And as further I go, the more this truth is going to be hated, despised. They despise the truth because there's so many also storytellers, the so-called journalists, and the people that make money with this and so on. The whole fucking world is so corrupt, really. So now you see what makes the world, what really the world looks like. Yeah, I'm sure it's cool for somebody to have a lot of money like this. I'm sure it's cool for somebody to come out of nowhere, and that's the shit. That's what appeals to the people. Coming out of fucking nowhere and making fucking money to the roof. Buying yourself fucking planes and drive the money with the trucks. Transport money with the fucking trucks and so on. So, this is really the story about the real Pablo Escobar. You know? Despite the torture that I have undergone in Panama by the son from Pablo Escobar directly became involved in it, I still try to rescue Pablo Escobar. And at the request of an encouragement also of certain circles on how I should do this, because it was Pablo Escobar who begged me, please, to help him to transport family to Germany. Pablo Escobar, despite everything, liked me because I was straight. I was honest, I was fair, and he continued to like me despite everything. Dude is a really crazy person. He liked me more than anybody, I guess, in this world. And so, what I did for him was, well, he trusted me fucking crazy. He simply knew that I always adhered to Germany. And in his head, there you have the idea that he needs to go to the Germany with the family, just like this. He had to run someplace. He did not know where the fuck to go. And he was sure that because of me, running to the Germany would be the best way to get it done. So there you have, that's the idea that grew in the Pablo Escobar, just basically with association that he had with me, that the best in his interest would be just go to the Germany. I solicited the stay of Pablo Escobar and his family in the Germany. I said, I did exactly what he told me to do. And I think it was Helmut Kohl who got pissed off with me in my face. Like, it appeared to me like he was barely waiting to jump in my face together with other German politicians, that they don't grant people like this any kind of asylum in the Germany. And they also told me, they of course they also informed me that I don't know, that I'm going in the wrong pattern in my life, and they give me the moral lessons. The Germans gave me the moral lessons. The stay, once the Pablo Escobar supposedly was killed, the stay of the Pablo Escobar is, of course, once the Pablo Escobar was killed, the detectives, the people who were involved in this raid, I said earlier, supposedly killed. I was again disregarded, humiliated, and then even tortured. It is just as simple. They knew me, they all knew me. If you will tell this, we will also tell this, that you were involved in this, that we were using your leads. Father from George Bush also pissed on my face, just as they did. Me personally, for everything I did, Pablo Escobar absolutely knew for everything the fuck I was doing. I was in no fucking position, you understand, that I would go and spy on somebody myself and have any kind of impact on Pablo Escobar other than what I stated. Pablo Escobar tried to squeeze me, squash me, and yet every time, whenever he did go too far with it, and he really loved that shit. He loved the fucking thrill to piss me off, but I was 18 in 1988, and in 1988, if you could get yourself really hurt by me. They loved the fucking thrill. They loved the thrill of the terror because they had guns and I had no fucking guns and so on. But still, I was around these people for so fucking long that I tolerated all this violence through. But what's interesting is I wasn't worth a fucking shit when Pablo Escobar supposedly was destroyed. Father of the George Bush even laughed in my face. For everything, and for everything is what FBI CIA used me to track him. I wasn't worth a fucking shit. Even that my life was at stake 24/7. They could have killed me just about at any fucking time around in the epicenter of these people as I was. It's a miracle under circumstances that I was not killed. It's fucking crazy. It's the weirdest fucking thing that can be. Anyhow, maybe this is even the most interesting part that comes. I refused to marry the daughter of the Pablo Escobar. That's one of the things. So I didn't want to marry her. He proposed me with his daughter, with his own daughter, to marry her, and I didn't want to marry her. Let me explain something. Peter Townsend was a lover from the princess, I think her name is Margaret. Peter Townsend is his name. This was a SAS officer, a commando, exceptional officer, military man, a very honorable man, based on his British military career. And I was on so many different locations with so many different things involved. It was not only drug business, it was worse. It was drugs, it was worse. That, I felt nothing less than royals. I didn't feel about myself, about absolutely any way, as inferior to the royals, who, by the way, offered me and their daughters and whatever the fuck, and their cousins, granddaughters. They did not really offer. I hope you understand that. This is just to keep you enough crazy so that you leave yourself in your crazy brainwash roles that they assign you. I don't have any kind of regrets about any of this stuff. I refused, by the way, also his daughters. I didn't want to get married with them. Or maybe I did want to get married with them, or whatever the fuck it was. For me, the physical appearance of the women was extremely, extremely important. The most important part. There were girls that had nothing. There were girls that had shit. Nothing. And I wanted to fucking marry them. Absolutely. And there were princesses that I was not attracted to. You understand? It's just I didn't want. And I didn't feel like I want to go and marry a daughter of a drug lord because he's a drug lord. You understand? Because is this myth blown about him and it's a drug lord? And it might not be a myth. It might not be a fucking myth. I created the fucking military out of these people. I really did. With my behavior, with my attitude, with my serious approach toward this shit. They all started to wear the fucking white hats and stuff like this. They told me, well, I got fucking do push-ups for you and exercise and shit. But one thing we can do, they were like, like rats. They were laughing at me. Yeah. There's one thing they said we're gonna do. We're not gonna even stop cocaine and stuff and alcohol and stuff like that. We're not gonna stop doing that. Fuck you. Okay. They came to me and this is one thing we're gonna do for you. I said, what you gonna do for me? And they all had white hats, like a cowboy hats, like a gringo hats, American hats. This kind of stuff went on. I saw the picture, I saw the photo of the cowboy hats. That was also, I knew all about this shit. This stuff, they all talked to these members. Eventually, Ochoa sons that were, to me, almost like some little brothers, they didn't get killed in the process. One got just 5 years, another one got just 25 years in the US, where I would also visit him, in a parenthesis, in the jail. It was extremely good on him. Trust me. And I am not going to go any further with it. I will not go, because it's none of my business. This is none of my business. I don't go after these people. This is not my business. This is people from Colombia over there, and I never was going to Colombia to harm people. You just did not fucking understood my situation. I had no interest in harming you. I was not interested in you. I was interested in that other bloc. I was interested in Serbia. I was interested in Russia. This is the stuff that was of my interest. I was not interested in hurting you or seeing you any way, whatever. And once Pablo Escobar supposedly was killed, I didn't mention the daughter of the let me see this here. There was one girl that I wanted to marry. One really was that I wanted to marry her. That was attractive enough to me. One was of these gangsters. It was more than one. Fabio Ochoa Restrepo is his name. Fabio Ochoa Restrepo. This one here, I was interested in doing her. She's a little older than myself. But there was so much torture involved in it. This here was a very beautiful lady this year. I'm just saying that this was a beautiful girl one time. Might sound crazy, whatever, but this back in the day was a very, very pretty girl. This is just the way it is. This one here also was involved in it. She was doing really, really good, This is from Miami-Dade, where I would meet her in Miami and all kinds of stuff like that. The Miami police helped her a little bit with the reputation. This aunt, they make her look like a horrible lady, horrible. There was nothing horrible about her. She wanted me to marry her niece or something like that. And like I told you, that if I like something, I marry. If I did not like, I did not marry. There was a girl, Colombiana, chica in Miami. Hey, I found myself in Miami. 95, I found myself in Miami. I got married to the lady from Ecuador, older than myself, but American citizen. I used that as an opportunity to stay in Miami. Now, she had a store. She already knew all about Miami and had all kinds of friends coming. And with my arrival to this store, Miami became the most colorful city in the world. Shit. Absolutely all the cartel Colombia people coming to Miami. You had the whole, not only Colombia, but Central America and Venezuela. I was scared like a fucking shit. Not scared of them, but scared as fuck that they are gonna bring right in front of fucking FBI inside of my fucking store the whole fucking thing about MK Ultra drug cartel business. Man, when I saw those guys, sometimes I wanted to fucking run out of the fucking store. Out of fucking Miami in a fucking jungle. I did not know how the fuck I would explain these people. The whole fucking store is being fucking bugged, man. I had to fucking see standing on the fucking corners. Even worse, I had a really nice, really nice, good-hearted guys coming from Colombia that were directly from my school. They actually started to even do the push-ups and stuff. I was God for them. They decided over there in Colombia that after the Pablo Escobar was gone, that I be the one who will take over the cartel business in Colombia, that I must go to Colombia. Demanded from Milan Kuchan personally, who would go to Colombia with Robert Golob, with Borut Pahor, to not allow me to work in what became finally even independent Slovenia in 1991. That my life is in Colombia, the cartel boss in Colombia, that they fucking need me. Laugh at me, don't make no fucking money, you can find job over there in the Slovenia. I took the job on the ship, the job 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, plus they were even hijacking me from the ship to the Serbia on the Balkan Wars. Kosovo, Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, Russia, you fucking name it. Chechen War, They told me, you don't make any fucking money on the ship. They were laughing at me like this, holding the fucking stacks of money. We have, and you work, you do all this, and there's no fucking money for you, and we have money, and so on. So I had these kids that they would not forget me. They would start coming to the store, and these are really nice kids. There was also a tux. Like, he told me, I come, I know, don't fucking worry, I come for you to Miami, you know. I come and you go with me, we go. That's it. Airport, Colombia, that's it. That's it. Just like this. We're gonna put the people also to Miami to be with you, and so on. Man, I told about two of them, I told them, those are not a nice kids. I told them, listen, I said, I don't want to have nothing to do with this kind of stuff, with the drugs. I didn't say nothing about, you know, they fucking recognize me, dude, right in front of fucking police and shit. I told them, I don't want to have nothing to do with it. I said, you understand, this is fucking MK Ultra or whatever, this is fucking real. They did not understood. That's the fucking problem. I told them, listen, man, if you're gonna make me a fucking problems, you know, you're gonna have a fucking problem with me. You must go now. You must go. Oh, you tra la 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 la. Before you know, and I did not even report them to the police. Before you know, they were talking to the police, and they were talking to during MK Ultra. They meet me in front of the police and in front of the FBI. They apologized to me. They said, we did not understand this. We did not understand this. And they let them go. You know, they let them go. And then I had a problem with two nice guys. Those guys fucking love me. Those guys just would come. They took the job on the ship just so they could come to be with me when I was inside of the stores. The guys were nice. I didn't want to get them in trouble. The store was bugged. Police was everywhere. I wanted to become a police officer myself. Not because I would run from anybody, but the money was good. And I like the type of job I could do as a police officer. I wanted to be a cop. I mean, they were making good money. They were making up to $100,000, $110,000 with the overtime and stuff like this. There was money like, you know, you make serious money with it. Beginning pay was like 35 grand or something. I had 35,000 or something. But back in those days, that was a lot of fucking money, you know. So, you know, I had all the qualifications. It was, you know, within a matter of time, you know, we do this and that's it. And they caught him too, and they caught me with it too. During MK Ultra, the two kids, they told me, yeah, said, you probably don't want to recognize us because because the store is bugged, right? And I said, yeah. I said, yes, right. Yeah, please. I told them, please, please, please. They're gonna fuck us. They're gonna fuck you. They're gonna fuck me. They're gonna please, please, please. They're gonna fuck everybody. And the two understood about that stuff. And the thing is that police did not even touch them. This is the thing. So it was all kinds of stuff like this. The biggest disappointment of all this shit that I got, after I even assisted the family of Pablo Escobar, they were on the run, however, came from the side of the son from the Pablo Escobar, who, by the way, changed his name into the Moroccan last name, from Escobar to Moroccan. Sebastian Escobar, Sebastian Moroccan, son of the Pablo Escobar, and the daughter. They were young back then. And the thing is, again, I tried to help them out. The thing is that there was no fucking way to help them out. And there was another thing about this family. This family was out there to fuck me. How were they fucking me? This is what your governments did. This is what the people that you trust did, because they publish the stuff that is just bullshit. It's a bunch of lies. They claim on how they were on a run, from one hotel to another hotel and this and that. That they were paying the money for the bodyguards and that kind of stuff. Do you know why the fuck they were in the hotel on the run? Do you want to know why the fuck they were in the hotel on the run? Okay. They were in a hotel on a run because the ultimate idea was to destroy me, to get me killed. Now you're going to say, how the fuck would the son of the Pablo Escobar do that? Well, very, very, very easily. I told you that MK Ultra is just taking crimes against yourself. It's you take whatever other people commit, you put it on yourself. This is the way they do it. They turn guns against you like this, and they do bad stuff, and you are the one who is basically guilty, responsible for it, based on Central Intelligence Agency, Federal Bureau Investigation, British MI5, MI6, the way you motherfuckers laugh in my face, eh? During MK Ultra, you laugh in my face. You fucked me. You're no good people, by the way. The way you did the stuff together for the British Royals was nothing other than truckloads of lies, basically. Manipulation, lies, with which you try to convince the world about my being a bad guy. Taking zero responsibility for the crimes you committed against me. And also other people through me, using me. The way they did this stuff, here is the video, by the way. You can see the... Oh, I'm going to give you a little taste of it.
Don Pablo Escobar.
Don Pablo Escobar. I am Tony Comiti, journalist. I encountered and recorded Pablo Escobar. The Medellin cartel, it is a criminal organization that was responsible.
Yeah, I like this guy. I like him too. I like this guy. He's a nice guy. It doesn't matter. So, what I want to say to you, he was involved also in the torture. Everybody was involved in the torture. Except that there is a whole lot he had done, and he did follow up on me. He did approach me afterwards. He did make a very friendly communication with me. He was very helpful in a way that he respected me, that he was respectful. He understood the difficulty and everything. So this guy here, being surrounded really from all sides, including those other sides, I give him a hat down for this stuff. You know, I like this guy. I like him. I have to say I have respect for this guy. As far as I'm concerned, this is a very clean guy, by the way.
Juan Pablo Escobar, otherwise known as Sebastian Marroquin, was only 16 when his father was gunned down on a...
His son understood very good what it means to kill. You understand? I know even some stuff I am not going to say. You understand? That contradicts everything that is stated in this video. So don't you fucking try with me to be a smart ass, because he was a smart ass. They would bring me to the Argentina afterwards. He became like a priest, giving me advice, life advice, through Slovenian police and so on. He became again my friend and so on. But the stuff that I am about to tell you is not a good stuff at all. And as I said, this is the stuff that affects me, Sebastian Escobar Marroquin. I'm just being really, really nice to you, merciful to you. I look like this right across the fingers for your own good. Like I said, I know the stuff that, you know, if I would tell, it would be a lot of problems for you. I am not going to tell, this is the thing. The thing is that whatever concerns me, you did extremely, extremely bad stuff to me for my doing you a favor. Like, for instance, the stuff that went through hotels, if you remember. Like this stuff here was the worst stuff that he and his family committed. This kind of stuff was very bad stuff.
To give my life for...
Because I refused again to marry a daughter of the Pablo Escobar when the father died. She wanted me absolutely to marry her. Obviously, replace Pablo Escobar in Colombia. This is the way this stuff was. They decided that they will go on a trip to fucking nowhere. That's basically what Colombian government decided with the British Royals, with the Central Intelligence Agency, with the CIA. Yeah, this is what happens when everybody turns against you, together with the Vatican, and with the French, and with the Germans, and with absolutely everybody. And there is a place here, they talk about how they did go to the hotel, you know, and they were staying at the hotel paying the bodyguards to protect them, and how the money just ran low, that no more was money and shit. I don't know where the fuck that is. That's Sebastian right there. I cannot find that on the video. I don't know where the fuck that is, that portion of the video. I have no idea where that is. I'm not going to bother with it. He talked about that stuff. He immediately reminded me of how difficult it was for him to even immigrate to Argentina with his name Escobar, right? And the way they fucked me was, the way they did this shit to me was, the way they did this stuff to me was by going to the hotels deliberately. This is a fucking good one. Making the whole thing a circus. Look like they're fucking persecuted. And what they were doing is basically, they went to the hotel and they were just doing this with the money like this. Throwing the fucking money away. The bodyguards, they would ask if they want more. Do you have enough? Do you have enough? Okay. Boom. Ciao ragazzi. And myself basically, just like the Pablo Escobar did in front of his daughter, he threw the money, stacks of money on the fire. It says that he used that to hit her so that she was not caught. And he will say to me, because I would also not marry her. I told him already that I would not marry her, that she's not my type. That's exactly what they were doing in the fucking hotels, where they would deliver me, the CIA would deliver me over there. I would witness all this stuff. Torture went on with the gangsters, with them. And finally I got a phone call, not the phone calls, but I found myself in front of the Vatican Pope, in front of the United Nations. Central Intelligence Agency pressured me that these are the people who did stuff to you and so on and so forth. And they were asking me if they should help these people, if they should help them out. I told them no. I told them, prosecute them. What do you want to do with them? Prosecute them, and then fucking prosecute them, whatever the fuck you want to do. This was weird because I granted a freedom to so many of these cartel people just by giving them, just simply when the whole thing was over, I was the one who was deciding about the fate of these people, as crazy as that might be. And because of the case of MK Ultra case, unfortunately, Father Ochoa no longer is alive, but he would tell you what I tell you. Prosecutor in front of him, to me, French from Belgium, only because this is a MK Ultra case, only because this is a MK Ultra case, we have ability to see the circumstances of them in a different light than we otherwise would. Have a European here hug for crimes, judge that prosecutors that would talk to me in front of them to me about this shit. Do you like him? Yes, I like him. Okay, we let you go, Ochoa, Father Ochoa, we let you go. Only because you understand, because he said this, we don't have to see this necessary as everybody equal and so on, you know? And they let it go. They let it go. And it was about the same shit with many others. And with some, it was not. Do you know what happened after I rejected to assist Sebastian Escobar, Marroquin? He fucked me really good. He came up with the stories that he had to change the fucking name. He did this shit in front of me. There is no fucking way to prove that he was not forced to do that. This is the most beautiful part about the Central Intelligence Agency, FBI. There's no way to prove, for me to prove this. However, I testify that he had me and made scorn out of me on how I will rotten in pain and in vain without United Nations assisting me, without the Vatican, where I was brought and told by the Pope that I'm a very bad person, that he is actually a saint in Colombia, and etc., etc. How do I am like this, and that I don't have the mercy, and so on. That this is equal to the royal family. This was a Vatican, a fucking Vatican that actually even claimed that I am a godfather of Italian mafia, of entire Italian mafia, that I am Cosa Nostra, that I am a father, the one who created the mafia, that I am absolute evil, Napoli evil, that I am the one that is the main guy of Italian mafia, you know, that kind of stuff, stupid stuff. It made me feel very, 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 very special. Not unspecial, but very, very special in a sense that he gave me his wishes on how I will, and this was not even Sebastian. This was not a Sebastian Marroquin. This was, I know that this was not Sebastian Escobar. The one who brainwashed him to do that shit to me, that was none other than Central Intelligence Agency, CIA. FBI was the one that told him what to tell me and fuck with me in respect to his must change last name so that he could immigrate to Argentina. Do you know what happened? The whole fucking world turned against me for not defending him and his sister and his mom. This is how the fuck I ended. I ended as the ultimate criminal of the whole fucking thing. Even Father Ochoa started to hallucinate that he's going to lose the land. And I convinced them to not lose the fucking land, to leave the fucking his land, the fuck alone, to leave this man alone with his farm. And he had a son over there. For 5 years they have him supposedly in the jail in Colombia, and this and that, come back with, you know. What happened was the pressure on the Colombian government from the public was so big. You remember when I told you the real Pablo Escobar? Who the real Pablo Escobar is? You can go ahead, you can tell yourself stories, and you can watch those documentaries. It's exciting to see people shoot one another. My story is not so exciting, my story is boring. Colombian government decided that they're gonna have to take, they decided this stuff through French, British, Americans, that land, all that stuff, that all have to go off the picture. They have to take that away. So they brought me back, and he cursed me out and this and that I fuck everything, that I fuck everybody up, and blah 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 blah. He was asking me my entire life if I love him, if I like him, and I don't know. He loved me. Father Ochoa definitely loved me, but it was again Sia that did shit against me and demanded him to torture. He did bad stuff already before, but not that I would consider him. The thing is that that I liked him so much, even that what he tortured, the same shit almost many times that Pablo Escobar got away with so much stuff when he came to me, that I just let him torture me and so on, curse me out, that the whole land is now lost, that everything was now gone. They went and they portray him as a novelty. Now he went on to complain, of course, that I didn't see myself in his ranch, and I really didn't see myself in his ranch. I'm sorry, man. I wanted to have the fucking river, water around me. The Pablo Escobar who had that luxurious place with island and stuff like this, almost like an island and stuff on the lake. That was all my idea. I want him, and to impress me, he created this shit so that he would have. And he had a beach, he had fantastic, wonderful, the most wonderful paradise. The thing is that it was a bunch of skunks over there. It was nothing other than torture when I was brought there. You understand me what I'm saying? So no matter what the fuck I would do for these people, what the fuck I would try to, and so on, they wouldn't listen. Save the motherfuckers. I saved him and his property and everything. Do you know what the fuck happened? Father Ochoa went and put curse on me like a Sebastian. Fuck this Marroquin. What is his name? Escobar. Escobar is a beautiful name. Same like Sebastian Escobar. He went and he fucked me by saying, together with the Colombian government, with the French, with all that, however, that the property had to be taken away. And the only thing they were doing is they were writing down how much money they confiscated, and they took everything from them and so on. Don't worry about that stuff, Sebastian, Bob, whatever, Bustian. There was so much money left that he could buy 100 of the haciendas like this. He created the beautiful heaven over there, They create this documentary portraying and now all this is gone and this and that. Fuck, it's not gone. Dad is not fucking stupid. He's a pretty smart guy. He had a good life. He was crying on a documentary, if you see, with the Pablo Escobar, with the stuff. The government basically told him it's over. The real Escobar was. This was a business. This was a Colombian business. You understand? This is like, in some countries you have oil, in other countries you have gas. In some countries you have industry, whatever the fuck you have. In Colombia, this was just a country that was not so developed, and they did not have it. So they have it now. They have more universities, and they have more educated people, right? You remember what the fuck we were talking about? And it was a happy end basically for absolutely everybody. these people did not have any kind of influence on me. But the problem with these people is something else. The problem with these people is that they create them as influential trolls. All of you are fucking influential trolls. You know that. They create out of you real characters. And based on the game, see nothing, hear nothing, know nothing. I don't fucking exist other than on a fucking a public ID. The fucking public ID. There you go. That's one. Actually, they said my name here somewhere. They sent me one letter. Actually, came on my name. There you go. This one here. So that's basically on my name. So you trolls and trolls from the CIA and from FBI scum. This is how they pay me for all this shit. This is worse than slavery. That much for my earnings about all this shit. They create, the fucking Saint Pope comes on the picture. Do you know what the fuck that is? To have a documentary movie about person that he committed something like this and something like that and something like this. It's not good for that person, if you understand me what the fuck I'm saying. This is how they fuck you up. This is how they do this stuff. All along I was guilty for people killed. I was guilty for, I don't know, billions and billions and billions fucking dollars that were coming into Colombia. I was told by Miami police when I came to Miami that I wanted to be a police officer. I was told that when they saw me applying for the police officer, that they thought that I'm fucking around with them. Am I serious about them? Or am I maybe even trying to turn entire U.S. government into a cartel? Those cops, they all fucking knew me everywhere. Funny too about the real MK Ultra case. This is how fucked up this stuff was. And the Miami lady was doing exceptionally well. Till she no longer wanted to be in the picture. This also was a troll that was created by the police and so on. And of course you don't care about the real truth, and this is the real truth. This is what the world is made out of. If you don't believe me, then maybe you ask Mr. Tony Comiti, a Frenchman, and maybe he will tell you he saw the files. He can even tell you about the stuff that I told you, if it's true or not. Depends on how much was documented. They documented pertaining to the Pablo Escobar about me, the mountains of the books about the stuff that went on. That's your Pablo Escobar. That's the real truth about your Pablo Escobar. He had to be professional. He didn't have a choice. I probably had to do something with it. I told you they reported with the hats. What the fuck can I tell you? My bosses from Celebrity Cruise Lines, they did sink the ship. I already told you the ship that I was worked on for a few months. They sank one in Asia, somewhere near Singapore. Colombia is nice. Colombia is nice. Colombia is very nice. Women are gorgeous. And Venezuela is very nice. Very nice. I had the French, Portuguese, and Spanish from Spain co-workers. And they were all the time telling to me, why don't you go? I have the friends, I give you the address and you go, and so on and so forth. I had literally guests from South America that were literally from cartel, literally on celebrity cruise lines that would come to visit when I was working on celebrity cruise lines in 1995. What the fuck do you think about that stuff, about this story? Too many people witnessed this MKUltra case, yet it remained completely buried, not because of the Sebastian Marroquin, Escobar, but because of the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, FBI, that went on with their Slovenian, Russo-Serbian partners to even throw me as a form of payment together with the British royals and on behalf of the British royals. This is the real reason why is see nothing, hear nothing from United Nations and the so-called European Commission. And you see how the fuck it works to work for the Germans and for the British and for the Americans, for the Scandinavians and for the Dutch and for the French. It really, really pays off. And for Italians and Spanish and Colombians and Venezuelans, they told me, you just come to all you have to do is you come to Italy. That's all you do. You go to Italy and that's it. And it's all been taken care of. Now you can see how this Cosa Nostra, all this shit, how actually functions in the real world. Now you finally know the real truth about the Pablo Escobar, everything about the Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar was, what is true is true. He was extremely patriotic Colombian. He loved his people. I don't think that he killed so many people at all. I think it was somebody else who also was killing the people. This is just my personal opinion. There was also something else that went on. I don't think that Pablo Escobar did all that. I think that some of it police did too. Had motorcycles. There is much more stuff I could tell you, but I never will. Not because I would be afraid of the Escobars or Ochoas or cartels or Italian mafia or whoever the fuck I would be afraid. I'm more afraid of myself, so that I wouldn't do to somebody something. And really, I'm a difficult person. I'm a very, very difficult person. I can be extremely, extremely difficult person. Simply because of good old times. It is just as this MKUltra times. They were not really good times, because I don't see the purpose in hurting you. Colombia did depend on the drugs. This is a poor country. This is the country that made a huge transition when it comes to education. The society is now completely different as it was. It can be seen already on a Sebastian Marroquin Escobar, that he alone understood the attitude of the people. Perception about the whole thing is very, very different than, you get the perception about people if you are a certain, mobster or whatever. The society changed profoundly, and I would like to see for Colombia to engage in a trade with Japan, with China, to raise its potential, education potential, to bring it to the next level. Because this is not Russia, this is just the opportunity to work in a science, to do a progress where it matters, and so that you could get yourself out of the poverty and have stuff that matters, you know. I don't like the stuff that goes on over there on the Venezuelan coast, you know, and with the Colombia. I don't like that kind of stuff because they are very trustful. They're very, these people are very trusty. It's nothing almost you cannot do with these people. Are extremely flexible, trusty. They're kind people. They're nice people. But the poverty is, and the poverty breeds poverty, and that stuff is not easy to curb. Difficult. And unless you have people that are educated, that are well educated, you know, and so on and so forth. So the same like Donald Trump in the White House, who went on to build his entire presidential career based on perception about me, leads he got. They would test him in the hospitals. British royals tested me in every fucking hospital in Britain, in Australia, in Canada, for their own sake. For their own sake, so they could see which doctors they can trust, which not. Trump, the same shit. The leads, the people that embraced me, liked me, that were always more logical, rational people, the people that were willing to work with me, were capable to view life from a different perspective and keep on a distance from crazy things. Strong leads, patriotic people that embraced me. This all what Donald Trump collected, and basically is dealing the crime against me. Death sentence in the name of the Democrats, American Democrats and Republicans and so on, is so disgusting that I'm going to give it a thumbs down when it comes to Colombia, Venezuela, and United States of America. I see the relationship as extremely toxic, dangerous, threatening toward Venezuela, Colombia, inappropriate, and believe that they have much more in common because of the racial background, ethnicity, with Japan and China, who, by the way, they have tremendously a lot to offer. Jews replaced me, just as I posted over there, as a connection with Central Intelligence Agency. Beginning in 1998, there was a guy, a Jew, who came over there to Colombia and bought some place, and he would have visitors from SIA, you know, they would buy places, and they would have, in parentheses, tourists. They would wander around, and you know, that's how that works, and it goes. I could go on and on and on and on and on and on, but this is it for me. Hey, I probably did left some interesting details out. Maybe some other time, on some other occasion, maybe I'm going to mention them. This is how all this stuff was done. This is how all this stuff was done. I had quite a few. Actually, Pablo Escobar was involved already since I was really, really a child. I was maybe just... Pablo Escobar was involved since I was maybe 2 years of age, maybe less. There's one thing I did not look. The wife of the Escobar, let me just see something. Yeah, Pablo Escobar was already involved when I was a baby. Pablo Escobar was already, but Pablo Escobar would be and it would not be. He was very, very like this, like he would visit and stuff like this, and he would take me with him, and that's what this is. This was actually, you see, Damane, I did not even trace everything. This Pablo Escobar gringo was actually one of my favorites. This was one of my favorites because he looked like an American. He literally looked like an American, man. He just looked like an American. He literally looked like an American, man. That's crazy. That is fucking crazy. I see this. This was, therefore, a man who even signaled me is going to get married. All that kind of stuff. This here. This is one of the favorite men that I had. This was a very, very, very special man who would have me, but he lost the fucking track of his mind. He really, really did. This was basically one of my fathers right there that you see. Literally, I was hoping that I would even be capable to stay with a family like this. This is the way it was. I asked Father Ochoa for me to stay over there and so on. Yeah, I tried to get away from this Slovenian madness, Yugoslav madness at whatever costs. This is what this is. I did not even consider about this shit. So he was one of the earliest people that was involved in this stuff here. He totally changed. He completely changed. Now I understand. Now I understand that. Yeah. We're gonna leave it here.
That's
Sebastian Escobar, the son. He later changed. He changed his views on me and everything, and became very friendly, and hoped that he would meet me, and so on and so forth. Totally changed.
how deeply I love him.
Juan Pablo Escobar was born on February 24th, 1977, right around the time Escobar had become one of the richest men in the world. But believe it or not, Juan Pablo had no idea just how ruthless and violent his father was until very late in his teenage years, because Pablo worked very hard to shelter him and make him see his point of view.
When you were enjoying the riches of your family, did that make you feel that your father's work, his criminal work, was okay?
No, because I didn't know exactly what he did. But
he apparently changed completely, so that
Manuela and Maria lost all their assets to rival cartels. Whatever was left was seized by the authorities. They were poor and homeless, even though their father still had barrels full of cash buried underground. And when they tried to flee from Colombia, no one would sell them plane tickets. United Nations didn't want to help the Escobars either.
Your name these days is Sebastian Marroquin.
Yes.
Is that because the Escobar name is too much to carry?
it is because the airlines didn't want to sell any plane tickets to travel and to get away from violence, you know.
Juan Pablo and his family were facing death threats every single day. They had to stay in a hotel room and pay bodyguards to protect them from the people flooding the corridors. But without any money left, they couldn't afford the hotel room or the bodyguards anymore. That's when they changed their names and fled to Argentina.
We stayed in Colombia for a year, waiting for somebody to help us.
After your father died?
After my father's death, and We asked the Vatican, the United Nations, and nobody wanted to help us. So it was our last option if we wanted to stay alive.
So that was when you could leave the country with your mother and your family.
The next day we changed our names. We could fly without any problems.
Now, they were the Marroquin family, and Juan Pablo took the name Sebastian.
We changed our identities. It was the only way. When we changed our names, the next day we were free.
But it was no easy feat for the Marroquins to stay out of trouble, even though none of them had ever broken the law. Sebastian was arrested for money laundering, kidnapping, and blackmailing. He'd done none of these things. He was just being arrested for being his father's son. In 1999, the family was arrested for Pablo Escobar's crimes, although they were soon released. This sent Manuela, now using the name Joana, into extreme bouts of anxiety and depression. Sadly, she has even tried to take her life. Today, she lives with her brother for her own health and safety. Sebastian and Joana lived in poverty for decades, something they'd never experienced before. Ironically, their father had tried desperately to escape his poverty. His main motivation was to make ever more money and prove to the world that he wasn't the poor farmer's boy he once was. He claimed he did all he did to provide for his children, but when the children were left without a father, they lost everything. This is what you get when you make your money from a life of crime. But Sebastian and Joana paid for their father's, not their own, crimes. Slowly, Sebastian got on his feet. He became an architect and a lecturer, and now lives and works in Argentina. He now spreads the word about living in Pablo Escobar's shadow and about his father's crimes. He warns people not to idolize him. Before he was a famous kingpin, he was a ruthless criminal.
How many murders is he directly or indirectly responsible for?
Well, there is not an official record of that, but I believe that it is almost about 3,000 people.
So what did Sebastian do about all those who betrayed him or his father? Not only did he not retaliate, he works hard to seek forgiveness from all the families of all those killed by Pablo Escobar. Sebastian, or Juan Pablo, fought the urge for revenge with peace and love. Imagine how much strength this takes from someone who grew up under the same roof as Pablo Escobar. Today, Juan Pablo doesn't go by Sebastian anymore.
You talk about the greatest prize being anonymity. Why have you given that up?
No, I'm no longer hiding because I don't want to hide. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't do any harm to anybody. I'm not proud of his violence, but I am proud of his love for me and to my mother and sister. And everybody's right if they want to love him, because he made some things that make you love him and some things that make you hate him. That's my father.
Perhaps Juan Pablo offers a valuable lesson to all children of cartel members and drug lords. You don't have to follow in your parents' footsteps. Choose love over hate and forgiveness over revenge. Hey, thanks for watching. Do you think Juan Pablo...
All right, I don't have anything else I would say to this stuff. Don't expect from me any forgiveness. I don't give a fuck about forgiveness. This right here is so nice and so smooth. He says this shitter here that talks.
Sister, and everybody's right if they want to love him, because he made some things that make you love him and some things that make you hate him. That's my father.
Perhaps Juan Pablo offers a valuable lesson to all children of cartel members and drug lords. You don't have to follow in your parents' footsteps. Choose love over hate and forgiveness over revenge.
Love over hate. Well, that's a shittery. Forgiveness over revenge. There is no forgiveness here. I'd rather not to think about what you guys did to me. And I'm not going to say guys, but scum. There definitely is no forgiveness here. Sebastian words, there is thing about love him or hate him, he also dedicated to me, and that's also brazen stuff. That's a lot of brazenness I see. However, I cannot allow myself to land on the level of the Sebastian Escobar and I cannot allow myself to land on level of others who were involved in this. You understand that? Because I know what Central Intelligence Agency is, what FBI is. And I'm strong enough to carry on. Not because of the fear, not because of respect for you, or love of any kind that you would scum, even, I'm gonna say, deserve. This is just because this is how I was made. This is who I am. Those words, they stink like a CIA or FBI. You can see from my case, from a case of my own. I don't know how to think about that stuff. Sebastian appeared, he is completely different now as a person. He is, and maybe he is not. I really don't know. I don't think I could say anything beneficial for him. I could definitely not guarantee for him absolutely anything. That's one thing. And I don't give a fuck about you witnessing, about whatever the fuck you have to say, or your Vatican Pope, or your Colombian government, or CIA, or FBI, or whatever the fuck you have. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. There is one word in this world, there is. That's my word. When I say that this is the way it was, this is the way it was. The British royals demanded from me to get back into drug business. Prince William continued the legacy, the previous legacy of his father, Charles Windsor Mountbatten Saxe Coburg Gotha Romanov, etc., and his uncle, whom they regard also now as Andrew Windsor, and etc. The grandfather, Prince Philip, already knew all about the drugs and was involved in it. They had labs also in Greater than Great Britain, as well as in the United States of America, run by the governments. Those are the labs. They told me that you're not going to say that. This is not lab. This is a manufacturing facility, chemical facility, pharmaceutical type of related stuff. Yeah, sure. One or two were, but the third one was not, so it doesn't matter. And the money still goes on with the Central Intelligence Agency that browsed literally cartel in Colombia to make arrangement for the sake of Donald Trump, because you need to write something exciting about your American president, right? Your winner, Donald, I think it's John Trump, Luftner Trump, Kushner, with literally Colombian cartels, negotiating with them, with Maduro making a statement during MKO, the Venezuelan president, that he's not going to give more to Donald Trump than 3 of the oil shipments, containers, and so on. Do you fucking imagine this shit? This is the reality. This is from somebody who really was there, who went through all this shit. And I didn't have no courage, and I didn't have no bravery, and I didn't have no I don't have any kind of love and forgiveness and so on. This is just life, you know? It's just life. That's what the fuck this is. Maybe if you talk less about certain issues, you would maybe be more realistic. Already this portion of the documentary I did not like at all. Thanks for watching this video. This is where you saw it, Ulcer Times. And let me make a little commercial for myself. Check this out. This is one of the oldest blogs you get to see out there. It's not a blog, it's just a witnessing. As you know, all this here is what belongs to my website, blog not, because this is how Central Intelligence Agency, Federal Bureau Investigation. It's funny because these days they talk about the Epstein. It is about the Epsteiner. Now we have a Yiddish files they're coming out about the Clinton and about Trump and about etc. etc. So we have Prince Andrew. It's all exciting. There was something mentioned about the Queen Elizabeth and so on. Nothing is real, however. That is the fucking problem. These are the files for which even Bill Clinton personally took photos with big laughter on his face. They browse their documenters, the people who document, and were choosing the files to be released. This is whatever is left out of my blog. You see this here? See what the reality is? See what this shit is? They say, what do they say here? It's time to care project. Look, this one is also from Italy. Associazione per Invecchiamento Attivo. There you go. Roberto Alser, a Dutch electronic music producer. Other than that, there is no Alser Times. Alser Times does not exist anywhere. See? Does not fucking exist anything. You read from the ghost. Yeah. This is where in the world where you have every clocher, every loser. There is something little about me right there, Alser Times. And I suppose that this is it. I don't know, this is really so pathetic, so poor, this whole thing. But as you see, they absolutely erase me from everywhere. And I am even logged in this account. So this is not valid evaluation. This is unfair. This is not even okay. You know what you know what the Sergei Mikhailovich Brin, this is also not good, but at least you get to see my blog here. I'm so honored. Sergei Mikhailovich said to me, together with a Larry Page, nothing. They deleted everything about me. Do you see what the fuck this is? Do you see what the mafia is? Do you see what United States of America is? Do you see what America is now? This is the definition of United States of America. This is a definition of democracy. This here. There's different kind of justices for different kind of people. In this world, I was treated with as less than animal. And you can see gangsters and mobsters and mafia and all kinds of stuff preserved, awarded, turned into nobilities. I guess for all the crime they did to me. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? So you know what my opinion is about the British royals. I don't think it's difficult to tell based on what I stated. You could see that from my blog. This is where we live. This is, ladies and gentlemen, this is a planet Earth. This is the reality about everything. This here, this is the reality. This is how it works. This is the world. This is what the world is made out of. It's not as exciting, I know, but this is what this is. That's what this is. That's how this is. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. Like you would not fucking believe. Scum, shitbags talking about American patriotism and being elected not only in the United States of America but also in Slovenia as a president. Nobody charged with anything for committing atrocities like this. This is what this world is made out of. It's different categories of the people. Some of us who do not even exist, basically. Other than on a state-issued document, and whenever they need to come to pick you up to the jail or a psychiatric hospital. That's how that works. This here, the way it is basically by anything you say against any of these people, they turn into episode. This is what Sebastian alone told me. Anything you say, it can jeopardize. It can jeopardize our lives, and they will not want us. They would expel us, and this and that and so on. It must be silent. Must be silent. On the other hand, he hallucinated how he returned back to Colombia as a royalty, with Argentinian, Brazilian, Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, American, British, all these governments line up behind him. It's not difficult to tell that Sebastian Marroquin is Illuminati guy. This is not a difficult thing to tell. Got paid to sit at home, basically, and study for the teacher, for the architect, and so on. And at the same time, continue to insisted and persisted on my being basically killed for no less than 54 years. This is the truth if you want to know the truth about the Pablo Escobar. If you want the real truth about the Illuminatis. They are vampires. They love to lie and do damage, hurt people. They hurt me more than they hurt anybody in Colombia. And they absolutely express no remorse, no apology, no nothing. Silence, basically, because this is how they answer. And I was extremely merciful because I know the stuff that if I would say this stuff, it could really end up with a jail. Probably as early as tomorrow. I don't believe in any kind of love. I don't believe in any kind of forgiveness. I believe in a reality. You know what the reality is? You motherfucker, did you ever work for reality? Do you know what the fucking reality is? You fucking schizophrenic Escobar? You're nothing better than your father is. Do you understand what the fucking reality is? You fucking scumbag when you open your mouth and you fucking lie. When you look and you fucking lie. All of you were like this. Every fucking one of you was like this.